The content you're about to enjoy comes from the archives of The Best You. We're devoted to the very best in personal development, with a platform and resources dedicated to inspiring and changing people's lives. At The Best You, we work with the world's leading writers and trainers on the evolution of the self, and people whose journeys have been affected by their work and words. These Best You EXPO talks are recorded in front of a live audience in a live event. We highly recommend that you focus on the message. As they say, what you focus on expands. Enjoy. Dr. John DeMartini. Dr. John DeMartini is a world-renowned specialist in human behavior, a researcher, author, and global educator. He has developed a series of solutions applicable across all markets, sectors, and age groups. His education curriculum ranges from corporate empowerment programs, financial empowerment strategies, self-development programs, relationship solutions, and social transformation programs. I've had the opportunity to interview Dr. John DeMartini a couple of times. I've attended some of his courses, and he did this special recording for us for the Expo. And having met so many great people, I have to say, this man has dedicated his life to reading, to learning. His story is phenomenal. He has read, I don't know what, but he has a record of books read. He travels, I think he said 350 days a year. He's traveling all over the world, non-stop. It's phenomenal, the energy he has. So I'm a big fan of John DeMartini, and I would highly recommend you listen to his talk. Knowledge and wisdom pours out of every word he says. Thank you so much. Dr. John DeMartini's talk is called Build Inspired Wealth. Enjoy.
Hi, everyone. This is Dr. John DeMartini. I've been involved in personal development and self-mastery now for 43 years. I've been teaching all these years. I've been fascinated by anything that helps maximize human awareness, human potential, and helps people master all areas of their life. Their spiritual quest, their mental quest, their business, their finances, their relationship, their social influence, their physical health and well-being, and their spiritual cause. Today, I'm going to concentrate primarily on wealth building and business building. And the way I'm going to start is by introducing to you a book called The Book of Wealth. Many years ago, I was living in New York in Trump Tower. And my wife at the time, who's passed away now, we were watching a particular show called Biography by A&E. And in this show, there was a gentleman that was being displayed called Mr. Frick. He was an entrepreneur, industrialist back of the turn of last century. And he has a magnificent home and a magnificent library and a beautiful art gallery in his home. And every night at midnight till about 2 a.m. when he was in New York, he used to read a particular book called The Book of Wealth. And this Book of Wealth, when I saw that a man of this caliber was reading this one book for 2 hours a night, I thought this must be an amazing book. So I went out the next day to Barnes & Nobles and to Borders to try to locate this book, but none of those stores had access to it. But they gave me a little card of a rare book collector that said, if anybody can trace it, this person can. So I went to this rare book collector, and he said, yes, I've heard of this Book of Wealth. It was by Hubert Hal Bancroft. It was written in 1895-86. And in the process of doing it, it was a rare collector. It was 400 sets originally made, and it was disseminated to the wealthiest people in the world at the time. Well, this made me more intrigued to get this book, and I told him that if it ever comes available, can you please allow me to auction for it or bid for it, because I'd like to get the book in case it ever comes available. He says, well, it's not available at this point, but if it does, we'll notify. It just so happened, because of the power of intention, within about 10 days, they contacted me and said, actually, there's a gentleman who's passed away, who's got an estate. His wife does not understand the value of this book, and she has it up for auction. And so I said, we'll bid on it, and let's get the book. A few days later, after the auction, somebody came up to my apartment on the 62nd floor of Trump Tower, and a dolly came in with this brown paper bag covered book that was about 3 foot long and about 2.5 foot wide and about a foot deep. And I thought, what on earth is this? And I opened up the brown paper, and I found out it was 10 volumes. And the Book of Wealth was a summary of the greatest individuals, greatest organizations, greatest institutions over the last 6,700 years, and how they built vast fortunes and how they created the greatest monuments on earth. So this is about how the great pyramids of Giza was formed, and the hanging walls of Babylon, and the great China Wall, and all the great temples and great palaces of the world were built. Well, as I sat down, I couldn't put it down. It was one of those books you had to go volume by volume by volume. It was one of those amazing, inspired books with massive pictures and beautiful artwork. Anyway, I'd like to summarize, to start this presentation, I'd like to summarize the three most important things that I learned from that book. Number one is that the wealthiest individuals in history felt by divine providence and human sovereignty that they were destined to serve vast numbers of people. They felt inside their heart that they were here on the planet ordained to be of vast service and to fill the needs of vast numbers of people. This is an important component because if you don't have a desire to altruistically serve people and make a difference in people's lives, you're missing out on one of the big driving forces of accumulating wealth and building business for that matter. The second one was that they felt by divine providence and human sovereignty that they were destined to live the most highest standard, the greatest royal life that they could, to raise their narcissistic component and live absolute royally. This wasn't for the sake of just a narcissistic need purely. It was also because they knew that if they put energy into raising the standards of humanity, that they would give new opportunities and invest in inspiration, not rescue desperation. They found out by doing that they raised the overall standards of everyone in the society to go and push further and to reach out and do more with their life than if they were just getting mediocrity. So they wanted to raise the standards because it incentivized and inspired people to do the same. It exemplified what was possible. And the third thing that was common to this book was that they had transcended the morality, the labels of good and bad, or greed and fear, or infatuation, resentment with money. They didn't see money as a good thing or a bad thing. They saw it as a measuring mechanism of service rendered and rewards received. They transcended it and realized that real equanimity within themselves and equity between themselves and others was necessary to sustain and build great fortunes. So they did not see it as good or bad. They did not put a label on it, a moral label on it. They had awakened their awareness to such a degree that they had transcended us. Now, this is three important components for building wealth, the mindset for building wealth. Now, I've been blessed to travel the world pretty extensively. I think I'm about 17 million miles of travel now, and be able to lecture quite often, almost every single day. And I've been asked by many people, how did I amass my fortune? And I explained to them that I have a work ethic and I do my best to provide more service than people expect. And I basically save most of my money that I earn, and I let my money work for me instead of me working always for it. But I'd like to share with you something that I've observed as I've traveled, something that's very significant. When I've asked people how many of you want to be financially independent and asked the room, sometimes in front of thousands of people, I get a pretty well unanimous 100%. Everybody puts their hand up. I want to be financially independent. I want my passive investment income to exceed my active income. And then I asked, okay, that's 100% of the room. I make everybody look around and see all the hands up. And I said, now what is the percentage of people that actually do it? And I hear anywhere from 1 to 5% yelled out from the room. And it's actually less than 1%. So let's just round it off to 1%. 1 out of 100 are people that actually do it. But yet there were, out of thousands of people, all their hands were up. So I think, well, this is an interesting paradox. Why is it that 99 to 100% of the people have their hands up for building fortunes and having financial independence, but yet 1% or less actually obtain it? And I realized there was a distinction. I'd like to make sure I emphasize that right now. Most people who say they want to be financially independent, they have a value system about spending money on consumables and depreciables. They want the lifestyles of the rich and famous. They don't want to actually master the skill of investing in assets and appreciables that go up in value that begin to work for them. They haven't discerned between a liability and an asset, something that's consumable that depreciates and something that depreciates. And so as a result of it, they say they want to be wealthy, but they're actually wanting to spend money instead of actually save and invest money. This is a very important component because if you want to get ahead financially, you have to, immediate gratification will cost you, but long-term vision will pay. You have to have a long-term vision and be willing to patiently save and invest your money and let your money begin to work for you. And invest in things that only go up in value and learn the distinction about intrinsic value of an asset and make sure you're buying something that's going to go up, that's appreciated and desired and needed in the society. So what your values are, what you value dictates your financial destiny. So I'd like to have us look up here on the flip chart for a second and take a peek at something that I know will be helpful to you in business and finance. So every individual, regardless of their background or gender or age, lives by a set of priorities. And I'm going to list a series of lines here to define this. And whatever is highest on your value, which I'll call HV, versus lower on your value, which I'll call LV, distinguishes what you're dedicated to and what you're not. So in other words, this highest value, or we could call it a higher priority or a lower priority, or we could redefine that as something that's most important to least important. Everybody has a hierarchy of values, a set of values, or a value structure sometimes called. And this value structure determines their destiny and their financial destiny. Tell me what your values are, and I'll tell you how you're going to spend money. Whenever you have money come to you, you're going to spend it according to your values. If you have a higher value on depreciables and consumables and immediate gratification, then you're not headed for financial independence. You're headed for a lifestyle where you're having to work your butt off for your lifestyle your whole life. If you have a high value on wealth building, then you're buying appreciable things, then you're on your way to having it work for you. See, people that work for money become its slave, and people that have money work for them become the master. You want to have mastery over the wealth, and that all bases on your value structure. The hierarchy of your values dictates your financial destiny. So whatever this value structure is, the hierarchy of values, the set of priorities that you live by, it tells you how you're going to manage your money. See, it's not how much money you make, it's how you manage what you make, and how you manage it is based on your values. So I have some people that have children and children's education and children's clothes and children's entertainment and children's health items and house and furniture and shopping and travel and shoes and shoes and shoes. And way down at the bottom is going to work and earning money and saving money. A person like that is not going to be financially independent. The second they get extra money, they're going to go buy things for their children. They're going to buy a new house. If they double their income, they're going to buy better things for their children and a bigger house. But they're still not going to save and invest money. You have to have a value on building wealth. See, money through the economy circulates through the economy from those who value it least to those who value it most, from those who value themselves least to those who value themselves most. So the hierarchy of one's values dictates their financial destiny. Now, whatever is highest on your value, you are spontaneously inspired from within to do. So if you have a high value on wealth building, you'll be spontaneously inspired to go out and do it. You'll be inspired to go out and serve people. You'll be inspired to save your money. You'll be inspired to look for investments. You'll be inspired to go and keep building your wealth. You'll be inspired by that. That's what's really meaningful to you. But if you have a low value, whatever is low on your value, you require outside motivation to do. So if you have to be motivated to save money or motivated to try to get ahead, then it's not really you're not dedicated to it. It's not really important to you. And so many people think that they want to be financially independent, but inside their head, they're spending it as they get it. They want that lifestyle. They want that nice yacht. They want that house. They want that penthouse. They want this and that. But those are all things that depreciate in value. So the first thing you have to do is you have to have a value on wealth building, and you have to know the difference between an asset and a liability. And if you don't understand that difference, you're just going to keep buying things that go down in value to make you feel good. People that live through other people's brands and consume other people's brands are not the people that be wealthy. The people that build a brand that other people consume are the people that become wealthy. You have to understand that you have to do something that serves vast numbers of people and reaches people and touches people's lives and fulfills people's lives to have a source of income. And then you have to value your own self because you're living congruently with what's valuable to you in order to keep it. And those two components are very essential. So if you look at what you really value, I'll tell you where your finances are going. So if all of a sudden you're at the top of your value, you have a business that you want to build and you want to serve people and you want to save money and you want to invest money and you want to build assets and buy companies, then you're headed for wealth building. or if you want to buy real estate and develop land, or do something that's going to serve people and it's going to go up in value. This is where the source of wealth comes from. Without that, it's sort of a fantasy. And I'd have to say that anytime you set a goal that is not aligned with your highest values, you have what I call the ABCDs of negativity. Internal anger, internal aggression, feelings of betrayal, internal criticism and internal challenge, feelings of despair and depression, and you want to exit and escape your life. That's because you're setting a goal that's not you. So if you really don't have a value on wealth building, and you're then setting a goal, I want to be a financially independent person, you're going to have the ABCDs of negativity automatically inside you because you're going to keep expecting something that's not going to happen. It's very important to make sure that you really value wealth building and you also value serving people. You have to have those two components in there, as the Book of Wealth emphasizes.
If you're interested in sharing your story, sharing your dreams, sharing your ideas in the largest personal development platform, the Best You EXPO, sign up today. Go to www.thebestyouexpo.com or send an email to info@thebestyou.co.
On my website, there's a great little opportunity for you. If you go on to drdemartini.com and you go on the menu on the left, there's a place that says Determine Your Values. On there, you hit that, and there's another little menu that comes up, and you hit that one, and it has a 13-step process to determine what your values are today. Please consider going to that website, drdemartini.com, and doing that. Because by doing that, you're going to find out what your values are today. You need to know where they are today. You need to know what it is, because if you're expecting yourself to build wealth and you don't have the values for doing it, you're going to end up frustrating yourself and go, why can't I get ahead? Why I keep sabotaging? Why am I not making money and getting a savings and investments in place? It's because your values are going to keep making you spend money accordingly. So first, identify what your values are. And when you do, you'll probably have an eye-opener. You might find that your wealth building is not even on the list. I do the value determination on thousands of people around the world. And I have to say, just like the stats show, about 1% of the population have wealth building in the top 3 values. Most of them, it's not on the list. So they all fantasize about being financially independent. They all fantasize about the lifestyle, but they don't have the values that will lead it to. So go to the value determination process, fill it out. It takes 25, 30 minutes. It'll be eye-opening, to say the least, and it'll help you start a base to find out where you are. If for some reason you discover that wealth building is not on that list, which is very probable, I want you to know that there's something you can do. Because if you set a goal that matches your values, you have fulfillment. Or if you change your values to match your goals, you have fulfillment. So if you discover you don't have the values for building wealth, then that doesn't mean you're stuck. It just means you now have to shift them and give yourself the values to really build wealth. Because if you really have the value on doing it, you'll then see opportunities, you'll make decisions, you'll act on it. And you'll, instead of going to seminars and hearing stuff and then not doing it, you'll start to implement it. And that's the key. It's your actions that make a difference. So let me give you 6 steps that could change your financial destiny. And I would actually get a piece of paper out or get on a computer or some sort of typing mechanism right now, and I'd begin this. This one exercise I'm about to give you is enormously valuable for transforming where wealth building is on your value list and what opportunities will come into your life and you'll take advantage of. I call this the 6 steps to wealth. The 6 steps to wealth. So these are 6 things that I found interviewing billionaires and very wealthy individuals that left their mark in the world. 6 common denominators that I found in all of them. And the second you start to implement them, you move in the direction of these same wealthy people. Whether you're an entrepreneur wanting to go out and do professional speaking, or you're an IT specialist wanting to build companies, or a consultant, it really doesn't matter what vehicle you're using. These steps are essential. So please get this and get writing these down and start applying what I'm about to share. The amount of work that's involved in this is work, but I'm telling you this works if you work it, and it's worth the time spent. So the first step, let's say you have a set of values and you discover that way down at the bottom is building a business and actually building wealth. And you go, oh my God, no wonder I can't seem to get ahead. No wonder I keep working my butt off and then not having anything to show for it. No matter what I do, I save and then I keep getting behind and I have emergencies and I keep blowing it. Or if people need it, I have emergency and they need the money and I keep giving it away and I can't seem to get ahead. If that's the case, it's your values driving that. Because you're going to spend money. Every decision you make is based on what you believe will give you the greatest advantage over disadvantage, greatest reward over risk to your value system, your highest value system. So let's take a look at how we can change it and raise wealth building up on the values. Number one, and again, this is going to take some work, but it's worth the work. Begin writing 200 benefits. 200 benefits to you, of building a business that serves ever greater numbers of people. This is right from the Book of Wealth now. 200 benefits of building a business that serves ever greater numbers of people. I want the benefits of actually building a business, the benefits of actually mastering the art of leadership, benefits of learning the art and mastery and science of management, the benefits of actually giving job opportunities to other people and feeling the reward of watching other people's lives be unfolded, the opportunity to master the skill of delegation and prioritization. There's many different benefits that come out of actually building a business that serves people. Changing culture, giving opportunities, leaving a mark, leaving a legacy or brand, creating something for offspring. You want to sit down and start writing down 200 benefits. Why? If you put down 10 or 20 or 30 benefits, you already have those at the top of your head, and that's not enough to make a change, or you'd already made the change. You need to go in there like doing a workout and pump iron and push those muscles beyond your comfort zone. Your brain is like a muscle, and you want to push it beyond a comfort zone and neuroplastically remodel the brain and basically open the doorway for new thinking. So 200 benefits, because when the why is big enough, the hows will take care of themselves. If you got a big enough reason for doing something, you'll do it. And if you don't have a big enough reason for building wealth, you won't. So you want to make sure you go in 200 benefits of building a business that serves ever greater numbers of people. That means you have a desire to serve vast numbers of people and you want it to grow and a desire to expand. Not plateau, not stagnate, but truly on the ball, expand it. That means you have to care enough about humanity to find out what truly is a service and a need in society. You have to do market research and find out what it is that people really want and need that overlaps with what you're inspired to provide, your skills, etc. Now, this can be directly or indirectly. That means that you could actually build a business, just like Richard Branson. He doesn't put his hands into every company he has. He also delegates things and has extra specialists going in there and providing those great companies. So you could do it directly by doing it yourself or indirectly by hiring experts to run those individual companies. But you want to you have to have a calling and a dedication to want to serve people, because without a service to people, there's no income. And you have to have an income to grow wealth. And you have to have a service to build it and have meaningful service. So you want to find something that the world needs, and you want to find something that you are dedicated to bringing to the world. If you go out there narcissistically and go self-righteously, the world needs this and this is what I want to give it, without meeting market needs, you won't have a demand, but you'll have a supply, and you won't grow your wealth. If at the other time you go out there and do something that everybody wants, but it doesn't mean anything to you, you won't have a drive to want to keep fulfilling it. You want to find what is called equity between your drives and the world's needs. If you find that balance and that mix by doing a search and discovering what people really, really want and find out where it overlaps, what you really, really want to provide, and you find that niche, you've got something you can't wait to get up in the morning and do, and people can't wait to get the service. That's the first thing. 200 benefits of building a business that serves ever greater numbers of people. If you have that and you're dedicated to that, there's an enthusiasm and an inspiration that comes across and people can feel it and they want to do business with you. You know, when you go into a restaurant or you go into a department store, when people are really there and engaged and inspired, they're grateful for their job, they're loving what they do, they're inspired by their vision and enthusiastically working, there's a magnetism and an opportunity and a referrals to go there. If you have that and you have a desire to go and serve, people can pick it up and they want to do business with you. So the first one is that. Without that, there's no business. And without that, there's no income source. And to work for other people, that's the least probable way of getting wealthy. Working for yourself, you have a higher probability. But working and putting money into investments is the most efficient. You pay the most taxes working for others, the less taxes if you work for yourself, and the least taxes once you get it into investments working for you. You want money working for you, not you having to work for them. And you transition from working from others to working for self as an entrepreneur to eventually just having your investments, buying companies as entrepreneurs. They're all working for you. This is the key to building wealth. The second step is 200 benefits of directly or indirectly managing this business. And I say directly or indirectly because you may have hired specialists to manage the business for you, as Richard Branson does. Managing businesses efficient and effectively to maximize profits. That means you have to dedicate and put the benefits, 200 benefits, of actually building the business and managing that business to maximize profits. That means you have basically 3 laws you want to follow. One is Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law states that if you don't fill your day with high priority actions that inspire you, it will fill up with low priority distractions that don't. And if you, in Pareto's law, you want to do the 20% that gives you 80% results. And Ricardo's law, what it means you want to make sure you hire people that are specialists that you don't have to micromanage so they can give their competitive advantage into your company and grow the resources and the greater the service to the people. So you want to make sure that you're targeting and you're concentrating and working on the business, not just in the business, and making it more effective and efficient. So building a business and then managing the business effectively and efficiently to maximize profits. This is an important component that so many people, they start the business and then they don't want to manage it. And they either have to hire some people doing it indirectly, or they got to get in there and have your heart and soul in there and actually manage the business. I'm a speaker and an educator. I hired, I delegated, I let other people do it. But you have to be honest with yourself and find out what your skill levels is and what's really valuable to you. And you have to raise it up on your value list to oversee it, because if it's out of sight, it's out of mind, and it probably will decay. Anything that you don't put energy into tends to decay, and you have to put your focus in building the business and managing the business. The third one is 200 benefits of saving an ever-progressive portion of the profits. That means that once you start making profits, you want to put some of it back in the company. You want to make sure you allocate it towards your taxes, but you want to make sure you also save. And you also have it in lifestyle. It's wise to manage your money wisely if you want more money to manage. And you have to take it off the top. With Parkinson's law, if you don't take money off the top and pay yourself first, you'll have unexpected bills eroding the potential for earning income and building wealth. You have to force it into a savings process. And I emphasize this, and anybody that I've actually implemented into their company, they've all come back and given me a hug and said, thank you. I can't believe I didn't do this earlier in my life. So what you do is you take a portion of it and you set aside, you set up different accounts, and you allocate the accounts for savings and investments. You have another one for taxes. You have another one for depreciation, another one for education, another one for going back in for marketing. And you allocate monies to different trenches specifically for building wealth and for building these things that are going to depreciate that you're going to need in the company. You want some money back in returned into the company to grow the company, and you need a lot of it earned and saved. Why do you want to save money? Well, not just because you want to do it. It's not for spending. It's not for going and buying consumables and depreciables. It's about building up a liquid cushion to build up stability in the company that draws more money to it. You'll find out that some of the wealthiest companies in the world, Bill Gates, for instance, has a year's worth of overall gross income in liquid capital for Microsoft. Warren Buffett says $60 billion in liquid cash for his companies. Apple has $160 billion in liquid capital because they know how important it is to have liquid capital. Cash is king. I keep anywhere from 1 to 3 years, depending on the market cycle, of liquid capital ready for market crashes. I can buy opportunities as they come along, and also stabilizing the primary business. The more liquid cash you have, the higher quality client, the less volatility, the higher the opportunities. You attract opportunities coming to you. You attract affiliates and opportunities to want to do business with you, because money flows where money goes. And if you store it and you build a liquid cushion, you get more opportunities to build more wealth. So make sure you pay yourself first and pay your savings first before you do anything else. I always say do savings before you invest, before you speculate. So often people are on empty, have no liquid cash. They go out and speculate, try to go and do this and that to try to get rich really quick, and they end up getting themselves into stress and burn out, and then they end up bombing their business. Make sure you have liquidity. Liquidity is a key. And basically, you force it into savings up front. I started 32 years ago saving a little portion of my money. I started, believe it or not, at a small amount of $200 a month. I raised it to $3, then $5, then $7, then $1,000. And I kept doing it until it was over $100,000 a month. Just savings liquid on a monthly basis. Keep saving, saving, saving. Every time I increased my savings, more business came to me. More opportunities came to me. Because when I valued me, so does the world. And the more I build up a cash cushion, the more people want to do business with me. The more people want to take me to lunch. It didn't cost me a thing. I was saving. Anytime somebody takes you to lunch and you were planning on paying it and they paid for it, put it in savings. Master the art of savings and building liquidity. Some brokers don't want you to save because they're not going to get their commissions, but save and build up a liquid cushion for your own stability. It helps your business. It's stable. Whatever the market cycles are, know what the mean is, and always make sure you have enough liquidity for all volatilities. 10 times the average volatility of your company, or at least 60 to 90 days minimum, preferably even 180 days worth of liquid cash for your company. It stabilizes it. You'll draw opportunities, and you'll take advantage of big crashes and opportunities to buy investments with it.
If you're interested in speaking, exhibiting, or getting involved in the largest personal development expos in the world, contact us today at www.thebestyouexpo.com or send us an email to info@thebestyou.co.
The fourth one is 200 benefits of investing in greater degrees of leverage which involve reward and risk. And that means that you earn the right to risk. So often people want to go and speculate on IPOs and venture capital before they even learn how to invest from basic companies. It's wiser to put your money into a stable company that knows it's got great management, that's got a long-term track record, it's selling products that everybody is needing, that's consistent, that's got its history to it, than it is to go and gamble on a possibility. Always say, earn the right to risk by doing it in stages. I always say, like in educational classes, you start out in kindergarten, first grade, second. There's a reason why you do it in steps. When it comes to investing, it's wise to do it methodically. Because what happens is if you go and do a cost risk tolerance analysis of somebody in financial planning, you'll find out when the market is up and there's a bull market, everybody thinks they can handle all the risk. When there's a bear market, people are freaked out and they're basically conservative. You don't want to base it on what the sentiment is in the outside. You want to base it on the allocation of your assets inside your life. And if you have a base of assets and you build another base on top of it, another cushion on top of it, you can handle guaranteed growth of economics. But if you're sitting there taking a risk with IPOs and risky investments and gambling with your money, and you don't even have a liquid cushion, you're really sitting there almost guaranteed to fall. It's wiser to build it in steps and be methodical and be patient and keep buying real, true value. Know the difference between intrinsic value in a company, and don't buy companies that are gambles and in sentiment builds. Make sure you're buying something that really has value. And make sure you put part of your money back into your own company, but put part of it back into cash. And keep liquid money. I'm telling you, that's smart. You'll be glad you did. Number 5 is 200 benefits of accumulating a vast fortune. If you don't have a desire to build a fortune, you probably won't. And if you don't have a desire to sustain a fortune, you'll probably start buying clutter and raising your lifestyle and get yourself into snags. Wiser to go through and make sure you save your money and build a cushion and build a fortune in the process. I assure you that the more fortune you build, the more opportunities are going to be magnetized to you. When you have $10 million, you get $10 million opportunities. You have $100 million, you get $100 million opportunities. As you save and invest money and accumulate a net worth, you get more opportunities. It's also important as you accumulate wealth to know exactly where you are, know all your assets and liabilities, to know what your net worth is, know exactly what you know to be financial independence. It's not a nebulous number. It's not some random thing. It's a very specific number based on how much you want to live on per year, and basically what interest rate you can think on all your investments as an average. You want to calculate that so you know exactly what it takes to be financially independent, how much is your net worth, exactly what the strategy is, what the average interest rates, and then methodically follow a strategy. Strategies build wealth, and emotions and volatilities undermine it. As Warren Buffett says, until you can manage your emotions, don't expect to manage money. And the last one, number 6, is 200 benefits of actually creating a financial cause that leads to a legacy. If you don't have a reason, the vast reason, bigger than yourself, bigger than your family, your community, your city, your state, your nation, or your world, the bigger the cause, the bigger the wealth potential. You have to have some reason for doing this over and above just comfort. If it's only hedonistic and you just basically want an easy lifestyle and you'll end up buying clutter, you won't have meaning. You want to find something that's meaningful, that's inspiring to you as you build your wealth, something you can't wait to get up in the morning and dedicate your life to. This is important. Let's take a peek now. Let's go and think of some billionaire, Warren Buffett. He's built a business that serves vast numbers of people. We take Richard Branson. He's built many businesses that serve vast numbers of people. Bill Gates created businesses that serve vast numbers of people. Oprah Winfrey, businesses that serve great numbers of people. You won't find a billionaire that hasn't done that bottom one and that one. In fact, if you look carefully, Bill Gates is a classical example, or Buffett. They built a business, they managed the business, they made profits, they kept lots of liquidity, they accumulated it and started to build investments. They were very methodical in their investments. They were not random. They were not taking major risks. They're very cautious and conservative. They accumulated wealth, and now they have foundations that they go back and contribute to the world and try to make the world a greater place. These are components that are found in the 6 most common components of wealthy billionaires. So if you start implementing those 6 steps, you'll find out by adding 200 benefits that your value on wealth building will rise up on your value list. And once it's up near the top, you'll see opportunities, you'll start making decisions, you'll act differently. So don't stop writing the benefits until you can see that your behavior is now wealth-oriented. So often people, the second they get money, they want to go blow it on things that appreciate, and that's where their values are. But going out and making a difference in the world and building a brand that makes you feel important is much more meaningful than trying to do it vicariously through other people's brands. I'm not against buying a nice lifestyle, but my rule of lifestyle is never raise your lifestyle unless you're willing to raise your savings and taxes equal amounts. And when you're able to raise your savings and taxes equal amounts, you've earned the right to a lifestyle. Because now it's not burdening and you're not working out away from financial independence. You're helping yourself with it. Only buy things that help you grow and accomplish what your dream is. Know what's really valuable to you and make sure that you ask, how is buying this going to help me fulfill my mission? If you do, you'll buy things wisely, not impulsively. You're bombarded by impulses of people all the time trying to sell you things. You don't want the outer world dictating you. You want the inner world. As I said on The Secret, when the voice and the vision on the inside is louder than all opinions on the outside, you begin to master your life. So you want to apply these 6 steps to wealth. I've seen people do this in a matter of a week. I've seen people take 3 or 4 months to do this. I have people all over the world that started doing this, and they started to see the change and the impact it had on their wealth building. They're saving, they're investing, etc. The sign that you really have a wealth building attitude is you're getting mentorship on it, you're reading about it, you're studying it, it's in your consciousness, and you're focusing on serving people. If you don't have that in motion, then it's a fantasy of financial independence. And as an entrepreneur, if you're not doing something meaningful, then what you're doing is you're probably going to end up with addictive behaviors. Addictive behaviors are byproducts of unfulfilled highest values that are not meaningful. So you want to find a job and a career that you're doing that's meaningful. The difference between someone like a Bill Gates or a Warren Buffett is here they are 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80 years old, and they're still out doing something meaningful. They're not just retiring and relaxing and getting away from something. They found something that they can't wait to get up in the morning and do, and they're doing it. I'm 61 years old, and I'm still cranking. I do what I love every day, and I built my wealth that way. I wanted to do what I loved and get handsomely paid and build a fortune doing that, and I'm absolutely certain you can do the same. But I implemented this starting in my late 28. About age 28, I started saving and making a commitment to build my business across the world. I started getting people to help me manage the business to it be an international business. I started saving it, and I accelerated that savings. Every quarter, I raised my savings 10%, and I grew my business faster. I started learning about investing and getting mentorship and started applying those things. I then accumulated the wealth, and now I've got my financial cause, the DeMartini Prize, Foundation, and Institute. So I'm basically doing these 6 steps, and it's allowed me to be financially independent and do the same, doing what I love. And now I don't have to get away from it. I'm doing what I love, so I'm looking forward to doing it and building it further and building momentum. Donald Trump taught me about momentum, how important it is to find out what you really love to do and keep doing it and build momentum and build a brand around it. If you do that, you really care. Now, just know that if you're going out there as an entrepreneur and you're just starting in this entrepreneurial pathway, you have to find something that truly is a need. You have to truly find something that people need so there's a demand for your service. And once you have a demand for your service and you find something you're inspired to do, wow, you're on your way now. And then you want to make sure that you're not doing low priority things. So let me go back for a second to priorities. I'd like to talk about priorities one more time here. Here's an exercise that you want to do starting today. You want to make a list of every single thing that you do in a day. Everything, personal, professional, everything. Write it all down. As you write these steps down, all these things that you're doing every day, right next to it in a column, write down how much does it produce per hour. So let me draw this out so you can see it. So you basically make a list of every single thing you do in a day. And then next to it, you write down how much does it produce per hour. So let's say, I use my own example. When I first started in practice 3 years ago, I was doing everything in the practice. Whatever was needed for the practice building, I did. But then I started to make a list after reading The Time Track by Ella McKenzie. I made a list of everything I was doing, and I realized that me going out and talking to people was the most productive thing I could do. Actually, clinically working with patients was the second most productive thing, and doing exams was the third most productive thing, but everything went downhill from there. And I was basically doing $10 and $20 and $30 an hour jobs instead of $1,000 and $2,000 and $3,000 to $15,000 an hour jobs when I was doing the highest priority things. So I go in there and I identified everything I was doing and how much does it actually produce per hour. It's the best estimate I can make of it. And I basically made a list of everything I did and what it actually produced. It was eye-opening because it made me realize that I was majoring in minors and minoring in majors and doing low-priority things instead of the most important things. So first do that. Then next to that, put down how much meaning it has. So how much, rated on a 1 to 7 scale, 7 being high meaning, 1 being really low meaning, how much meaning does it have? Because sometimes I'll sacrifice things that don't produce as much, but it really is meaning and it's inspiring to me. I do a lot of programs for education for kids. In the process of doing it, I don't make as much on it, but it sure is meaningful to watch lives change and young entrepreneurs be born. So I go and identify how much it produces per hour, how much meaning it is. I do another column, and then I ask, what is the replacement cost? So if I was to delegate it to somebody, how much would it cost me to hire somebody to delegate that and be released of that so I don't have to do that? Because you want to make sure you delegate, because you can only grow as far as you can prioritize and delegate. And the last one is how much time spent. Because time is money. So if you basically go through and do these 4 steps, what exactly you do, and then find out what is the productivity per hour, what is the meaning, what is the actual replacement cost, and how much time is spent. And what I did is I went through that when I turned 28 or so, after reading that book, The Time Trap, and I went through there and I realized that I was minoring in majors, majoring in minors, and it was time for me to start delegating lower priority things so I could go on to do high priority things. Within a short period of time, as I started hiring people to take on those roles, I liberated myself to make way more income, to have other people help me make more income, and my profit margins went up. And I accelerated my savings and my investments from doing that. So you want to prioritize, because as long as you're doing low priority things, you're going to end up with a low priority life and a low depreciative state, and you end up going to have least money. You have to stick to priorities. You have to find, as Gary Keller says, that one thing, that highest priority thing that you do that you're greatest at, and then surround yourself with people that have the competitive advantage to do the things that you need to delegate. And get those people that are engaged and inspired in their values to do the things you want to delegate. And liberate yourself from low priority things. That's why I don't drive today. I don't cook today. I delegate everything but researching, writing, traveling, and teaching today. Those are the things that produce the most, that have the most meaningful to me, that I can't wait to get up in the morning and do. You want to make sure you're doing the most important things and do them most efficiently. If you basically are performing efficiently the most important things, you're maximizing your profits. If you do that exercise and do that every quarter and update that every quarter and keep shedding lower priority things like branches of a tree and keep giving energy to the most powerful branches, you'll grow your tree and you'll have an outreach and you'll build wealth. Because what you're doing is you're maximizing your own self-worth and you're giving opportunities for others to have jobs and you're able to extract labor value out of them. And basically everybody is serving everybody else that way. And you're basically serving more people. So give yourself permission to create a massive company at whatever level with people or through efficiency of serving people. This process right here allowed me to get on and do what I do today, and it was a step-by-step momentum-building process that allows me to do what I love and love what I do every day and get up and be inspired and prioritized by my life. I don't want to do desperate things. You can't live an inspired life as an entrepreneur if you're doing desperate things. So surround yourself with people that would love to do the things that are need to be delegated and get on with doing what's most important, that produces the most, that has the most meaning, that really makes the biggest difference in your life. Well, I think our time is about to wrap up. I just want to say thank you for being here with me in this intense 45 minutes presentation. My objective was to help you build inspiring wealth, and I really believe that you have the capacity to do that. If you dedicate your life, as it says in the Book of Wealth, to serving vast numbers of people and raising the standard in your own life and transcending the labels of good and evil of money and realizing that money is a measure of the services rendered and the skills of basically mastering your life. Building wealth is actually a spiritual exercise of mastering you. Because as an entrepreneur, if you live by your highest priorities and you live by what's most meaningful and you're most inspired and you can't wait to get up and serve, you're on your way to being a great entrepreneur with a great fortune. So our time is up. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to share with you. I know that when you apply these principles, it's going to change your financial destiny. So I look forward to hearing from you. And I know that as I go around the world doing my Breakthrough Experience program and my seminars, I love watching the eyes light up. I love watching people go out there and seeing entrepreneurs born, because I know that if I help other people get where they want to get in life, I get where I want to get in life. And I love making a difference, and I know I want you to do the same. You deserve to go out and do something massively amazing in your life. So give yourself permission to do something extraordinary from this day forward. And give yourself permission to build a vast fortune and do great service.
For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co.